What's up guys, my name is TechnoTuner and today I'm bringing to you guys a video that a lot of people have started to ask for, but it's basically going to be a side deck, let alone hand trap discussion video. Today we're just going to go over what I feel like is the most appropriate side deck that you could bring to an event that would best help you, dependent on your locals, for getting you more successful in your games for wins and seeing a higher performance in general. I will state that some of these hand traps that are shown may or may not be more than useful in this day and age, but I still wanted to at least try and bring it to you and explain a little bit more behind it. Let's go ahead and hop right on into this and take a look. So, first up, we do have the basics, which are Ash. I did not include the Mulcharmies because the Mulcharmies are very specific, and I feel like they should be in there as well. So overall, I would say S tier hand traps are probably going to be your Ash Blossom, your Mulcharmy Fualos, Mulcharmy Perulia. The Mulcharmy Meows is more of like an A tier, B tier sort of thing. It's more like that 1.5 range for a actual hand trap, because you have it to where not a lot of decks play out of the graveyard, but there are those that still do. Now, as for Ash in general, Ash Blossom is really good in general because it stops your opponent from adding cards from their hand or from their deck to their hand or to their graveyard, or something from your deck to their graveyard. It does cause a bit of hindrance and slows down your opponent. The other one that I would say that has came in handy a lot this format so far has been Ghost Bell. Ghost Bell has been extremely useful against Yummy and Vanquish Soul when they try to add a card or summon a card from the graveyard or banish. It is so helpful when that comes up. The other one that I will state that is very helpful against Draco Tail is more than likely going to be DDD Crow. DD Crow is very helpful in hitting those fusion monsters that you don't want them getting back, or just those monsters or cards you do not want them getting back into their actual deck, just so you can recycle and get more off of what they're trying to run. Chaos Hunter Malice is more likely going to hit on the ban list. Now, whether it does kill the deck or not, I don't think they'll straight out kill it. I think Malice will be at best a rogue tier option. However, it is very niche in this format because a lot of the decks are either very graveyard eccentric, main deck eccentric, or just very hand trap heavy. This is not going to be very helpful overall unless you're playing against Malice itself. As for the Allied Justice Cycle Reader, well, I can't pick the thing up. Okay. Well, this one I would say is probably B tier because you can hit the two lights, because Yummy are lights. You could hit them out of the graveyard with it. However, I still feel it's a bit more niche than it is a B tier kind of hand trap. It was used a lot during Drytron format. However, I feel like this card could be very beneficial when trying to go against Yummy itself. D-Shifter, it's still going to be about an A tier. Even if it's a one of, it does shut down Draco Tail and cuts off K9 plays and stuff like that, because they can't really play out of the banish. So K9, if you hit their Lupus or if you hit any Draco Tail that's sent to the graveyard, is banished instead. They have no way of recovery. Same way with Yummy. If their cards get banished, they do have some forms as long as they get their field spells in the grave. But if the field spells get banished, they are kind of stuck treading water, basically, where they're just going through and running through circles. They can't really do much once their stuff has been banished. Droll and Lock, it doesn't really affect most of the main decks right now. For K9, Draco Tail, and Yummy, they play around Droll pretty effectively. However, for the rogue decks that are still using Fiendsmith Engine or anything else, Droll and Lock can actually hit pretty hard. So this is really good for like your Lunalights, your White Forest, RB, Fiendsmith, anything like that. It does hit very hard for your rogue tier decks because they do rely a lot on their searches. This card is going to have its day, but today is not the day. The Spooky Dogwood, it's great when you need it. However, the whole life point gain does not help you in this case, because it doesn't stop them from summoning. It doesn't change the fact. If anything, it does keep you alive for a turn if they continue to go off, but you don't gain any resources as well to really function with. So for right now, it's not really a great card to utilize, let alone use in this format. Gamma, since most cards do activate in hand, you could chain Gamma to a Draco Tail activation or K9 activation in hand and stop it. However, it does not really do much since there's only one of it, and it kind of is a bit bricky since you have to run the driver as well. So you're more likely to draw the driver than the Gamma. I wouldn't personally play it, but I can see where people would use it just to get as an anti-hand trap. I would also recommend Call by the Grave or Cross Out instead of just using Gamma. Ghost Mourner, that I'm going to say is an A tier. It's basically Effect Veiler with a burn potential. It helps so much in this format because effects are necessary on board just to get things rolling. If you hit an Arthalion that's on board and protect your stuff from either being bounced or not, it does help out a lot. The other one that I will say that is useful is Effect Veiler, and I'm definitely going to put that as an S tier level hand trap because being able to drop more than one Effect Veiler on your opponent makes it so beneficial. Same way with Infinite Impermanence, where Infinite Impermanence can also help you get through those plays that you need. I would place that one, however, at an A tier because it doesn't really see its full potential if you have any monsters on board, while Effect Veiler you can just pop off during your opponent's turn, even if you control monsters. The other two that I will bring up are the Dominus cards, Dominus Purge and Dominus Impulse. Dominus Purge is basically Ash on drugs at this point. It's really good if you're not needing the whole lockout situation. It does help for those that you just need to keep hitting with and preventing the draw, preventing the ad, and it helps out so much. As for Dominus Impulse, since a lot of the decks are either Light, Earth, or I forget the last one, but basically if you Light, Earth, or Wind, if you are not utilizing one of those, it is a very good hand trap. Like Malice. Malice definitely needs it to really compete. However, if you do need it, it does hurt you a lot. I would definitely not recommend running it unless you're playing Malice or something else. I would place that probably at an A tier, maybe a B tier status, just because how most of the decks really work with Earth, Light, or Wind effects so far right now. The other one that I will bring up is Ghost Reaper. If you run the targets, the only reason why I'm going to place this at A tier is because Yummy and most of the decks are only playing one copy of a card. If you know what copy of a card they are running, so for example, this Yummy Snatchy, the Yummy Synchros, the Canine Rippers, the Werewolf, you can also hit Dracotail Arthalion or Golomel or Secretarian with Ghost Reaper. It shuts down their deck completely. It can be a game ender to where they have to really begin to rely on the other portions of their deck to really just pick up and move forward. However, Ghost Reaper can have its fallbacks to it because if you're playing a mirror match, that can hurt you as well if you do not know what you're doing. No material, I'm going to say is still bad. It is being a bit of a pain. I am sorry for this whole thing with my computer right now. The website does not want to cooperate that I'm using. But I'm going to say it's a bad tier for the whole no material. No material, basically, you can't use it for Link, Ritual, Fusion, Xyz, Pendulum, etc. But you can't control any cards to activate it. It's a good going first card, but they usually have extenders to go forward and get rid of the card anyways. It is not very beneficial at all during this format. The other two that I would recommend playing in the side are definitely Artifact Lancia and Nibiru. If you want to main deck it, it is definitely beneficial in the Dracotail deck. Nibiru is really great. Artifact Lancia, I could see just only as the Malice out. since you're just basically trying to get around the whole banish. With Malice, this shuts them down completely. As for Nibiru, if they summon 5 times or more, it can shut down your opponent and make them really have to think about their next move, because if you just Nibiru'd them and they're trying to reestablish their board presence, it can hurt them a lot. There's some players that do go past the 5th summon when playing Vanquishal, that this can really hurt a lot and save you in a lot of life point damage. The one card that I will state is, well, that is not getting a lot of talk, is Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre hurts a lot because if you hit the Yummy Snatchy, the field spells, or the Ripper, it can actually force them into a situation where they have to respond so they don't have that interruption. I've had to use Ghost Ogre against Ripper a couple of times just to force that interaction to prevent their destruction. So Ghost Ogre can actually make a play for you to activate another card later on in the turn or during your turn. Ghost Ogre is very beneficial, it helps get resources off the field, and helps greatly. As for Herald of the Arclight, unless you're playing Drytron or Fairies, you are not doing much this season, because Herald of Arclight does not do much. It is a monster negate, but it requires too much in the hand to even really utilize. Next up is Phantasme. I'm going to place this at B tier. It does give you an extra dragon if you're playing Dragon Link or Draco Tail, which can help out greatly. However, the main thing is that if you have it on board, it does shut off some of your actual other hand traps that you can utilize, such as the Infinite Impermanence, the Dominuses, I believe, as well, because Dominus Purge makes it to where you can't activate Dark Effect in hand, so you wouldn't be able to activate this if it was in your hand during the turn which you activate Dominus Purge. Dominus Purge. The other thing is that it does get you a draw 2 and put 1 back that you don't really need. However, it can be very lackluster in the longer the game goes because you need more and more effects to really activate from hand. Finally, I'm going to go over the last 2, which are here. These 2 I don't really see as very helpful. They are very niche. The whole token collector is not really utilized, and I forget the name of this last one, but I know it deals with graveyard effects. I just can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'm so sorry about that, guys, but I do not recommend really running it, because even though some graveyard effects do trigger, it's not enough to really warrant it. The other thing is token collector there's no real tokens that are being summoned right now outside Nibiru, so there's no real point in playing it. As for a couple other hand traps that I did not see included, you have the Song of the Dominators, which is basically Effect Veiler, but it can shut off your entire turn because it prevents you from activating monster effects in hand. If your deck really relies on that, it is not worth utilizing. The only deck that I can see really picking up and using some of these cards to more their maximum value is Odeon or a trap-based deck. Now, whether to say that they are or are not great to be used, that is personally up to you and how you build your deck. But to me, this is how I would see each of the hand traps that we currently have ranked out in usage. I hope you guys did enjoy this kind of video. I know I don't do a lot like this. I'm trying to do a little bit more for my discussions, and I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did, please go ahead and leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Is it okay if I'm to say I'm catching feelings from all the dealings? Am I astray? What do you say? How are you feeling? Is it the same?